Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show radio to open the heart, heal the soul, awaken the consciousness. Good morning out there. Beautiful day. Mr. Benny Mathers, how is your sunshiny heart today?
Oh, that's sweet. It's really
I
good.
know.
Thank you. Hope yours is the
Thank
same.
you. Yeah, it is.
That's a given. Yeah, when we talk to each other.
I know. It's always good to see you. I really do mean it. And from my heart tears, yeah, for sure. Yeah, my daughter's here visiting from Hawaii.
She is. We'll tell her hello for us.
I know. I told her. I said, if you come out, you can say hello to Betty.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got bedhead.
I mean, if you kind of want to come into the studio, we could do it. I haven't left, but I know you're comfortable.
We did talk about it. Yeah,
we did
talk about it. Anyway, so she sends you a big hug.
Aw, big hug back there.
Yeah, big hug back. Yeah. So yeah, she's up here playing. I'm going to put a plug in down at the Kalama Cultural Festival. There is a joint venture between the Hawaiians and the Native Americans this weekend, and it's great. You should look it up. And if you want to drive down there, she's playing with Hoakeni, which will be playing at 6 p.m. on Saturday night. So there you go. They get a free ad from me.
Yeah.
And they're a Grammy award-winning Hawaiian reggae band.
Nice.
I know.
I'll have to dip into that for our break.
Yeah, for the party. We are the party.
And I'm getting ready to party because the kids are going back to school next week.
And more party.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And I will say this is their first year of high school. Yeah, it's already whipping by so fast. And one of my boys is already as tall as their mom.
Oh.
So they're still not up to me yet. They still got a little ways to go, but it's that time.
They're shoving up against
They have sprouted this year. It's amazing. They're weeds. I mean, I know when we grew up, our parents talked about, oh, you grow like weeds. We're like, nah, it didn't really happen. Oh, it's happening.
Are they the same height, or is one taller than the other?
No, Ethan's just a little bit taller than his brother Eli. But they've been doing the whole like this and this and this and this and this. Like they've never really been equal. So I mean, a long time ago they were almost the same, but they're not identical. They're fraternal, so they're close in relation as twins, but they are growing a little different paces.
Fraternal.
So you get one. Yeah. So you get one of the boys is always like picking on the other one. He's like, "I'm taller than you. I'm taller than you."
Like,
You're hitting your head first. You're hitting your head first.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Yeah. Well, that's it's actually exciting, and I'm like, oh man, it's gonna go by. It's gonna go by like that.
Oh,
Betty,
I know.
You know, go by like that. Yeah. And then who are we after they leave? That we'll do a show on that one, Tim.
Where the party begins officially.
Party.
Exactly. You may not hear from me for about a month.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I'm just kidding. That's not true.
Yeah, we're just having fun. I hope everybody's enjoying the sun and enjoying their time with whatever you're doing for the last little bit of August here. And just a reminder, I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis. I've been in Brown for about 30 years, which is crazy. Every time I say it, I'm just like, no, this just can't be. My monthly class, Temple of the Divine Feminine, will be meeting next Saturday, August 30 at 11:30. You can join us in person or remotely via Zoom. It is actually a small, intimate group. It's a women's circle. And yes, we are doing a lot of stuff with Mary Magdalene. So my guest today's will be really great. They'll fit right in. Very quick astrology checking, because I am so fascinated to talk to my guest today that I was thinking about just like making 3 sentences, but I got to get into it. August 22nd, which is tomorrow, we have the Regulus Gateway. The sun aligns with one of the 4 royal stars, Regulus. Ooh, this is a power day where we get to experience the energy of Regulus beaming straight into our hearts. Regulus is known as the heart of the lion and is said to bring success, honor, and good fortune. It's a powerful energy that can supercharge both our heart chakras and our crown chakras. So it helps us balance compassion and forgiveness and connect with higher realms. Also on the 22nd of August, we have the sun moving out of fiery Leo into grounded and practical. Virgo. So happy birthday to all my Virgos out there. Virgo season is a great time to start getting things organized and in order, which for me is great because it's just before my big trip to Egypt, where I'm going to take 12 wonderful travelers. We have got the sacred number 13 on this trip in Egypt, and it's going to be great. So use this energy to create a practical schedule and clean up your diet and exercise routines. Virgo season is a great time to practice being gentle and non-judgmental with ourselves and others. Uh-oh, Benny, I'm doing the best I can here.
I'm always gentle, I'll tell you that first off. And I never judge, ever.
I'm so glad to hear that. I was excited.
I'm like gentle Ben, right?
Yeah.
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 Come up with those.
Oh, yes, you are. For sure. I love that. Yeah, I'm going to get emails on that one. I'll forward them to you.
Great.
I know I will. Yep. And then August 23rd, we have a Virgo new moon. Eclipse season is now in session. This is the first of 2 Virgo new moons. And the next Virgo new moon will be a new moon eclipse on September 21st. So we're bookend here between Virgo new moons. It's kind of a big deal. This new moon will only reveal part of the story. We may feel a sense of lingering, unfinished business. So looking at this August Virgo new moon, the energies are undeniably powerful. The new moon falls at 0 degrees of Virgo, which indicates a blank slate, a time to imprint our vision onto the universe. Imagine the future is not set in stone. This is our chance to put our desires out there and imprint how we want our reality to go. We're being given the paintbrush to our reality, spending time in meditation, focusing on positive energy, abundance, hope, will be incredibly powerful and healing, not just for ourselves, but for the entire planet. Saturn and Neptune are also active under this new moon, but the resulting energy may have us feeling a little emotionally blocked or unsure of how to feel. So using the Virgo mercurial, that's Mercury energy, Venus and Mercury and Venus, Virgo, will help us with this. I'm sorry, I got my words all backwards and forwards, but I hope you're following me. So it's time to journal, write it out, and get in touch with yourselves first. So great energy.
I like your paintbrush reference, by the way, really fast, because then you could determine whether it's a Picasso, a Jackson Pollock, or a Bob Ross.
I love that.
All great forms.
I love it. And we'll just put a little happy tree over here. I know, happy little tree.
Nice.
I did a meme with Bob Ross, and he's like, I'll just put a happy little UFO right over here.
It works.
Anyways, it's my sense of humor.
Yeah, it works.
It does. It works. And so now I'm going to bring my wonderful guests on. I got Renee, Blodgett, and I probably say you guys' names wrong, and Anthony Compagnone. Anthony, you're going to tell me how to say your last name. That's what you're going to do, both of you. They are the co-authors of a magnificent, very interesting book called Magdalene's Journey, Mary Magdalene's Untold Story and Teachings. And through evocative storytelling, Renee and Anthony take us into the heart of Miriam of Magdala's life, her relationship with Yeshua of Nazareth, her role as healer and teacher, and her essential presence in the balance of divine masculine and feminine energies. Their book challenges centuries of distortion, lifting the veil on Magdalene's wisdom and reclaiming her as a voice of the divine feminine for our time. It invites us to reimagine not only Mary Magdalene's legacy, but also our own potential for healing, awakening, and rebalancing the sacred feminine and masculine within ourselves. Renee and Anthony are also the founders of Blue Soul Earth, where they help raise global consciousness through courses, workshops, retreats, and their Blue Soul Summit video series. Wow, you guys, welcome to the show. Here's your beautiful book. Look at that. Woohoo! It's got some dog ears. It's got dog-eared pages, and that's what Loretta does.
Yeah, I do the same thing, actually. I'm always folding pages back. And but anyway, thank you so much, Loretta, for having us on your show.
Well, I'm so excited, and I know everyone's probably starts with this question, but what brought about the writing of the book? I think you guys' story is fascinating.
Do you want to start?
I think you should start. Let's let the divine feminine start. It's still pretty early morning.
Okay. I like it.
Well, it's interesting because it's one of those things that we didn't seek out at all. It's almost as if Miriam of Magdala found us and Yeshua found us, because certainly, at least for me, I can speak that I ran away from religion as far as I could after experiencing many of them, like the Life of Pi little boy in that book who kind of was confused by his parents trying to rope him into just one particular religion. My family was similar. They couldn't decide. So I was baptized Lutheran, Baptist, Episcopalian, Methodist, and went to a Catholic school.
You covered your bases.
Just covered all the bases, and there was so much dogma that I ran far from it. And so when, the energy, you could say, or the, I guess the awareness of Mary Magdalene popped into our field, it was a little confusing for us because, Anthony's a full embodied channel. And so he can explain to you a little bit about that. We don't really call the book channeled, but it's our story baked into their story is really what it is.
I love that. I was actually just going to directly ask you if it was channeled because I kind of want you to explain to the listening audience, like, what is the premise of the book, or how have you presented this? Because the minute I started reading it, I went, wow, I think there's a lot of channeled information in here. Yeah.
That's it. Go ahead.
Well, there certainly is a lot of channeled information. So this being Miriam of Magdala, as she calls herself, well, one day, I'm a channel. I've been channeling for about 10 years now. I think it was in the 5th year that she came through, and we weren't exactly sure who she was. We knew her from the Gospels, but then she wanted to start telling her story through me, and we were a little bit
surprised,
to say the least. A woman being
and resistant.
Very resistant.
Here, right. I don't want to come out with a religious story. I'm in the world of technology and science. This isn't happening on my dime.
So she started telling her story, and she never stopped. She is quite a prolific storyteller. Yeah. I would describe her as she comes through me, at least my perception of who she is. She's a very strong woman. She knows what she wants. She knows where she's going. She knows what she wants to teach. And she is the foremost front runner in women's rights. And that's how she presents herself through, at least through us anyway. And when she speaks, she has a great deal of determination. Chutzpah, that's for sure.
Very Joan of Arc.
Yes. And she will drive you either insane or she'll make you a better person than you once were.
Like your best coach, right? Like your best sports coach.
Best coach, best professor, best teacher, and she wants you to be the best as well.
And also, I would say this divine mother figure as well, not in the sense of we think of as mother, more like the cosmic mother, the Sophia, right? The Shekinah energy, the wisdom of the divine feminine.
A beautiful, gentle energy as well, layered with these other aspects of courage and strength and fortitude, all together in one.
It's interesting. We were speaking at a show recently, an expo, and it was spiritual based because, depending on where we are, if we're doing a book reading in a bookstore, we certainly don't lead with channeling. We talk about the story, and the importance of the story and the importance of how history was really programmed through patriarch lens. And we really speak about that in our research because there was a lot of research that went into it as well.
Yeah.
But at a spiritual expo, Anthony goes into channel because that's what people want. And the last one, he got up and stood on a chair.
Actually, I could feel myself jump on top of a chair.
In the middle of the talk. And she started speaking almost in that Martin Luther King kind of way.
Wow.
And you can sometimes see people's disbelief, which is understandable. We certainly went through that, you know. First of all, is this real? And second of all, why would she choose to come through a man after all? So I can certainly understand all of those hesitations, because as you saw from the book, the couple, Rochelle and Angelo, certainly had plenty of, what's going on here? Is this real? You know, so that was really how it happened for us.
Yeah, you're touching on a lot of the things that I'm curious about. And does she explain to you why she chose you? Why come through you? You know, I realize that everybody's got their own flavor. Like, yeah, you're part of the channel, right?
Why did she choose? And I'm not going to say just me, but why for both of us? Because she really does work through both of us. She really will say, I work through the divine feminine first, and then I'll go into the divine masculine. I'm not 100% sure why it is. I believe she wants to truly demonstrate the balance between both masculine and feminine and vice versa, so that they both become equal. And she wishes to demonstrate and show to everybody that it's important now, especially now, that both the divine feminine and masculine work together, not separately.
And there's no difference.
And there's no difference. And she'll always say the two will become one, and they bring them together, and she'll go like this. And that's really what her message is, to bring these energies together. So she does that through demonstration, through Renee's ability to write, and through my ability to speak. And I think it's fascinating.
It does. It feels like, you know, Neil Donald Walsh, right? Conversations with God, guru guy, author of the Times, right? He talks about how it takes over, you know. And actually, you know, we have a podcast too that bridges science and spirituality, and we had Neil on our show, and he will never call it channeling, which I understand, because, you know, his audience tends to be more religious, and we grew up with so much fear around the idea and the notion of channeling, that you're being possessed or taken over, and so there's a lot of fear around that. And so I do understand the fear, because we grew up with that same generation's way of thinking. But I think the other reason, I've been thinking about this a lot, why us, you know, I do believe that at a soul level, we choose our path.
Yeah.
Because we have free will. So even though it, you know, on the physical level, it's not a path I would choose. There's so many other books I would write. You know, I'm a travel writer. I run a travel magazine. I can think of 6,000 other things I'd like to write about, even food. You know, I'm very passionate about food and culture. But there's something with this that is very powerful and palpable that I can't really explain, but it does speak internally to my confusion with religion growing up as a child. And I feel like, why did she choose us? I do, or we choose her. I think it's a combination of the fact that we really do stem from the Abrahamic religions. That's our heritage and our lineage. And there's something that really struck me. It happened about maybe 2 months ago. We were sitting on the couch, and Magdalene came through and was very passionate and strong. And she said, "Heal my line." Because she asked, how's the book coming? And, you know, she's like that, right? And I said, well, it's coming as it's coming, you know, it's out there. And she just said, "Heal my line." And she said it 3 times, as the magic number that always happens in esoteric circles. It's always in 3s. And I haven't gotten that out of my head. And I think what that means, this is what I think it means. I think on one level, it means heal the confusion, the distortion, the word that you used in our intro, of this blending of confusion and distortion between Judaism, Christianity, and Catholicism. And I purposely put Christianity and Catholicism in separate buckets. And I think that's part of the healing. And the second part of the healing that she wants to happen is for women. I mean, Jewish women, because she's very clear in the book that she was Jewish. She wasn't Catholic. There was no Catholicism 2,000 years ago. But I think it's healing women.
Mm-hmm.
And saying, listen, this is not the whole story. This is a historical truth based on a patriarchal lens, but that's not really what it was. There was a goddess religion thousands of years ago before we had a monotheistic, fearful God. And so I think that part of the healing is another reason that she comes through maybe skeptics rather than people who sought her out.
Yeah, I so love the way you're answering that question. I had a few ideas around that in the book. You talk about all kinds of things that are controversial, and I get excited when people do that. Like, yeah, let's talk about it. But the idea that male and female are the same soul-wise with God, and also God, right? And also this idea that coming through you, Anthony, creates that interest, at least for me, and like, are we challenging the old patriarchal system? Where is the voice of the woman? Why did they work so hard to erase Miriam, from the center of anything? Trying to continuously demote her down, even to the point of and I've thought about this a lot because I've traveled the path of seeking the goddess a lot, like over in Turkey and now over in Lebanon and places like that, like just following the path. What happened, even we can follow historically, that the goddess became demoted to where she's just like almost washed away. And your book to me is really lifting the veil on a lot of that, or bringing a lot of that back, especially with the strong voice of Miriam and all the things that you talk about. So I think I talked over the top of my question there, but that's kind of my reflection back on why maybe you, the two of you, and also what you said, because I was raised, Christian, and have always had many, many questions that didn't make any sense to me. So yeah. And what is the true story? That to me is one of the most fascinating things in your book, is that you're telling us a narrative that is controversial, somewhat challenging. It says, well, is that true or is that not true? I mean, did she live 30 years in a cave? Right?
She doesn't appear to be that type of woman that would live 30 years in a cave.
Or feel she deserved, punishment because of it.
Right.
As a result. Yeah. It's it's interesting, right? When you think about, as we started doing the research, because technically the book was done 2.5 years ago. And we hadn't put research in it, and we didn't have characters. So suddenly the characters emerged. And I think one of the reasons we decided to do that is historical fiction and visionary literature has really a way of reaching people in a softer, gentle way. It doesn't make it so personal. When you say it's channeled, it suggests in a way that this is the new truth. The Bible's wrong, the Upanishads is wrong, whatever, the Vedas are wrong, everything's wrong. And the book's intention is not to do that. It's not to make a religion wrong, but what it is trying so beautifully to do, I think, is to elevate women's voices above the noise and the chaos of these stories that have been dished down to us, that in some ways fiction, right? Moses and the burning bush. I mean, just a lot of this stuff, or, men praying to God and thanking God that they weren't born as a woman. I mean, just all of these things that have been subliminally brought into our field of awareness, and just where we just absorb it for so long, you know. And I always thought, gosh, of course I know about patriarchy. You know, I studied women across cultures in London. I was the only American woman in the entire course at my college. There were women from all over the world, and I really thought I'd done the homework and traveled all over the world. And how did I get to my 50s and not know about the patriarch? And so, or the depth of it. And I think that really shed some new light on the book for us. This was about 2 years ago. And then we started doing some research. And all of a sudden, you know, all this stuff started coming through, and it just broke my heart. Absolutely broke my heart. Here, you know, just how I wasn't even aware. And here I was, an educated woman, well-read, well-traveled. So, you know, what else don't we know? What else don't we know?
Yeah, and that's such a good point. Like how many voices, women's voices, I'll say, there's probably men out there too, but have been erased from history or minimized, you know, such as Queen Hatshepsut in Egypt, you know, things like that. And also you mentioned Joan of Arc, which yeah, okay, well, we could talk about that some other time. But anyway, we're going to take a little station break. I love this interview. I have so many questions for you guys, like 30, but we won't get to all of them. We'll see what happens. Because I know that the energy is coming through, and there's a message for the people. So we'll come back to that. But we're going to take a little station break. This is Loretta Brown. My guest today, Renee Blodgett. And Anthony, you're going to tell me how to say your name.
I'm going to say it in the Italian manner.
Ooh.
It's Compagnone.
Compagnone. Okay. Wow. I love it. Okay. Thank you so much. The book, Magdalene's Journey, Mary Magdalene's Untold Story and Teachings. And we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back. You could order the book during the break. Just saying. We'll be right back.
Cool. All clear.
Alternative Talk 1150. We're on your radio at 1150 a.m. We're on your HD radio at 98.9 Channel 3.
So many ways to listen.
We're on the web at 1150kknw.com, streaming live audio and video, as well as MP3 archives of many of our shows.
So many ways to listen.
And now, we're on your smartphone or tablet. Download our free app in the Apple App Store or Google Play and take Alternative Talk 1150 anywhere you go.
So many ways to listen.
Energy is powerful. It's all around us, mysterious, full of potential. Directing positive, healing energy to raise your vibrational rate through Reiki can change your life. Reiki Master Loretta Brown has relieved stress, sadness, anger, and even helped clients lose weight, stop smoking, and end sleep disorders. Worldwide, people have sought out Reiki Oasis. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
Statistics show that roughly 20 veterans die by suicide every day in the United States. Canines for Warriors is the leading nonprofit organization providing highly trained service dogs to veterans with PTSD and other invisible wounds of war. Backed by scientific research, Canines for Warriors has transformed the lives of more than 1,000 veterans, helping them reclaim their independence. To find out more, please visit caninesforwarriors.org.
An alternative to everything else on your radio dial. Alternative Talk 1150.
Y'all ready to come back? All right, stand by.
Woo-hoo! Hot day. Welcome back to the original Loretta Brown show. I know, you never know what's going to happen here. Betty, you're the best. And my wonderful guest today, Renee Blodgett. Blodgett?
Blodgett.
Blodgett. And Anthony Compagnone.
Yes. Compagnone, sono lì.
Compagnone. I feel like I need to eat. I have to do it. Their wonderful book, Magdalene's Journey, Mary Magdalene's Untold Story and Teachings. And just a reminder that these shows, wow, I'm all over my words. These shows are archived and downloaded for free at KKNW 1150 AM archives for the original Loretta Brown show. And of course, we are on YouTube, X, Megaphone, Podcast One, iTunes, Spotify, I don't know, we're everywhere. So please go back and find the show, listen to it over and over again, and it will air, I think, 2 or 3 more times this week. So back into our wonderful journey through your book. We did talk about this during the break, but I want to bring it out. There are so many people who are bringing forward books from Mary Magdalene right now. And number one, your comment regarding that, and number two, what sets your book apart from all of that?
Okay. Let me comment about why are there so many books coming out? I think Miriam of Magdala is really working through anybody of who wants to tell her story. She has a mission to raise the feminine energy, and
to raise the consciousness,
and to raise this consciousness. And she'll always say, I want to bring the feminine energy up further and then allow the males to become equal with it again, because it's so out of balance. And that's exactly what she's doing, at least through Renee and myself.
Yeah.
What sets our book apart from others is that not only is it channeled, but we also had to do a lot of research. As an undergraduate student, I studied French and Italian literature and philosophy, and I always did a great deal of reading and research. And I think she uses that ability of what I have to research the history, which I love history. And we had to do a great deal of research on the names of the 7 sisters, of the area where she was living, the area where she went in southern Gaul or France. And another thing which makes it really unique is Renee's ability to create a novel, a narration about these 2 characters having this incredible experience, spiritual experience.
Yeah, I think, one of the things for us in the spiritual world, you have to remember, by day, Anthony's a bilingual pediatric speech and language pathologist. So he works with kids with special needs. Science, this is all science-based. I spent 25 years in tech and science. And so suddenly you've got this channeling ability. And to this day, I have not posted this on my personal Facebook page because there's so many people dismissive of the idea of channeling, including us, by the way, because I think some of the things that we've heard come out are so off. Or they have an agenda, or there's conspiracy theories baked in, or there's stuff that just doesn't ring true. And for me, it was very important, as also, we always did have a spiritual bent. So it's not to say that we were only from science, but I would say spiritual, not religious in the traditional sense. And I think for me, it was really important with this book to do the research, because after there was one point where Magdalene said, I think it was in the beginning of the book, and you may recall this part where she said, I was going to be sold off to expand the Jewish tribe, because that's what they did back then. You were sold off and to the best bidder, and that gave clout to the family. And, it's not just in Judaism, but certainly many cultures 2,000 years ago, and even to this day in some parts of the world. And then she said, but it wasn't always that way. Now, of course I knew that, but what I didn't know is the layers and the complexity of the patriarch. And Leonard Schlein, with his book, the Alphabet and the Goddess, I think it is, or the Goddess and the Alphabet, I can't remember it's one of the two. And then, of course, Merlin Stone's beautiful book, right? When God Was a Woman. All of these books just started coming on my doorstep. And when I started reading them, I almost wanted to purge. That's what it felt like. I wanted to purge. it felt like, how did I not know that it just became such a part of our society. I mean, think about it. Even when we walk in the room, hey guys, how's it going? Guys.
Guys.
We don't even think about it. It's so subliminal and it's so prolific that it's built into our language, as Leonard Shlain says, it's built into every fabric of what we do.
Yeah.
That's what sets it apart.
Yeah.
It's really this combination of this research, the channeling, our disbelief with it, opposed to, yes, we didn't go gung-ho into this. We had a lot of doubt and hesitation.
Yeah.
And I think, for those who channel out there, I would say, have doubt and hesitation. Ask who you're speaking to. Don't take it for granted. Don't buy into everything that's coming through, because you have to remember it's always going through the filter of the channel.
That's right.
And the most important thing that you can do is get the channel out of the way. And, what's very interesting in our work, and those of you who are not new to channeling, you probably know about Paul Selig, who is also on our podcast, by the way. And, there's a point in a lot of Paul's work where it says, the channel says, now Paul's got to get out of the way. Mm-hmm. That happens with us too, where Miriam will say, I'm not going to say the next words until Anthony gets out of the way, because he's biased. Yeah. He doesn't want to talk about sex. It's too uncomfortable for him.
Right.
So I've got to wait until he gets out of the way before I share this part of my life. And so I think that's another unique part, is that we're kind of a check and balance for each other, I think, to make sure that the material is grounded in science and at least matches some history. By some history, I mean, we can't possibly know what happened 2,000 years ago completely, right? There's just too much. But I think doing the research, trying to understand Judaism as it might have once been, trying to truly understand what it must have been like for a woman 2,000 years ago. All of these things are important aspects of the story.
Yeah, I very much appreciate the combination of your two energies and the way you've approached this. It's very substantial to me. And also in the face of your own skepticism of what is going on, I actually love that part, because that makes you absolutely question everything. I am a big questioner. I always tell people, I'm this woo-woo girl. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anything coming out of anybody's mouth. Biggest skeptic around, right? And then I get pulled in when I recognize something that's very truth, very authentic, like this. It's real. This is real. In your book, you do approach controversial subjects, sex, of course, the relationship between Miriam, I'll just call her Mary Magdalene, and Yeshua. That's what people are more familiar with. But their relationship, you point out that they actually knew each other as children and kind of ran off together, right? But what are some of the most important misconceptions that you feel like you would like to bring out? We don't have a long show, but some of the misconceptions that are really the most important.
The misconceptions about Miriam or the relationship that she had. I think the one misconception is that Yeshua, that his ministry, his teachings were something done solely by him. But she'll make it known that no, she taught alongside of him, and that she too was one of the main teachers and healers. And when I say ministry, I mean it's their teachings and things of that nature during that time.
They called it the good news.
The good news.
Yeah.
Gospel. That she was not just a disciple, but she was one of the main teachers as well. And she wants people to know that. Something that's even more controversial is this idea that they constantly, both Yeshua and Magdalene, tell us. When Jesus or Yeshua said the temple lies within, he wasn't just saying that you are the temple or that God is inside of you. What he says and what Miriam constantly are saying to us is that you are this perception of reality, you make up the consciousness of God, of source. Everybody does. It is not separate. It is, this is it.
Which is the non-dualist teaching, obviously. Yeah. And very similar to the universal truth that's taught in the East.
And then they break it down into quantum aspects of the soul and particles, which is something else that Renee and I had to research because we knew nothing about quantum. and it's these really unique ways of discovering who you are again in this lifetime, that you're nothing and everything all at the same time. It's mind-bending, the information that comes through.
The other thing that you left out too, which I think is important, is that that there were female apostles.
Oh yeah.
And there were more than 7 of them. It's just that these were the core ones that she was close to. You could say the core group, and those were the ones who followed her to Gaul.
And they definitely bankrolled the entire ministry, the entire whatever he was teaching, wherever they were going. It was because of the women that allowed him to do this.
Yeah, which, some history, even in I don't know if James Tabor brings this up or not. You would know better, but I do. So I don't want to say that just in case it's not accurate. But there are certainly well-known academics who have raised this.
Yeah.
That potentially the women, right, and Miriam's family had money to contribute to his teachings. So that is out there historically.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just not that well known.
And it's always been in history that the patriarch has always wiped out the meaning of women, wiped out their names. Even Mother Mary is almost completely wiped out of the New Testament, the Gospels. When you really start reading into it, you slowly see it being taken away, and it's the men that are becoming to be the most important players. So
oh, and that Mother Mary wasn't a virgin. I mean, these were the things that really just never, as someone who really believes in science, how can this be? Right. So these are the things that kind of get unturned, I think, in the book.
Yeah. I think you unturn a lot of things, and also because you turn this into a very readable story, and the characters in the book, are mirroring the information that's coming through, which I think is probably what's happening in your lives also. Like it would be mine, like reading the book. I'm going to go back and read it again, actually read it more carefully and pull out some of those details. When we're taking a look at what I call the rising of the feminine, or the feminine voice being restored, I'm going to ask the two of you, what does that look like? What are we heading into? Where are we? Are we returning to someplace? Are we going to someplace forward and in a different sort of a way? Do you understand what I'm asking? Especially with the rising of the feminine voice, or the feminine and masculine voices uniting themselves.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, as Anthony pointed out earlier, this, Magdalene's interest in working through various people is to, we're even making jewelry in her name now. Like, how did that happen? I just, one day she's like, you're going to start making jewelry in my name now. So, I think she's emerging in all these different ways, to, I think, also educate. This is the other important piece that I feel, whether you're into nature or not, right? Maybe you grew up in New York City or whatever, Paris, London, and that's your world. And, your whole nature is weekends away or whatever. So maybe you're not a nature person, but certainly nature people will resonate with this. When you get into nature and you hear the stillness, and I would encourage the city dwellers to do this more often, right? There's a stillness that just, it shuts out the noise and the distractions. And let's face it, there's no shortage of noise and distractions in the world right now, particularly politically, globally, right? Not just what's happening here in the United States. There's just this big divisiveness that's really happening. And it's making us question everything that we know about what we know. And I think that's the dismantling of old systems, old patriarch systems are starting to fall away. It may not feel like it right now, but we have a saying, don't we? In humanity has a saying that it's always the darkest before the dawn.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what's happening right now, is that the old ways are falling away. And right now we're not seeing that quite yet. What we're seeing is the ugliness of this patriarch, bright. It's like in our faces to be seen. And so you either choose to see it with conscious integrity. I'll just throw that word out there.
Ooh, that's a good combination of words. Yeah.
Integrity.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we never get political. When the
Mhm.
vaccine came out, we didn't get political. When the elections happen, we don't do that. And I would also say that if a channel is telling you political information or has a political agenda, then it's not clean, because really, your heart knows the answer. And even though things feel off, we've got to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is this: your own integrity, your own love, your own ethics. When you hear stuff out there, what rings true for you, for your heart? Not what somebody else has told you. I mean, the biggest teachings from Yeshua of Magdalene in our lives that's been so profound is that, that's one of the reasons why our membership programs aren't like huge compared to others, is because I feel like our role is to introduce people to the fact that they're their own gurus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then go out with your flocks, just like you're doing with leading, 10 people to Egypt. You're the guru. And that's the message. It's not like come to us because we're the channels and the gurus. The message from Yeshua and Magdalene is like, it all lives within you. That's the secret sauce, right? That you're looking for out there is really the divinity within you. So I know there was a lot to unpack there, but I think, I think that's really what also sets our work apart, don't you? Just in terms of their messages, which are very loud. Listen to your heart, listen to your internal voice, listen to your higher self. There's a lot in there.
I think there's a genuine understanding. I mean, at least I understand what you're saying, and that as the feminine voice returns, I'm just using that language. We could say it in a different way. But what is it that is in that feminine voice? Well, intuition is part of that, the internal voice, and also the kingdom of heaven is within, right? And this returning to self to understand what is the truth, because everybody's looking outside, like can I believe that person? Can I believe that person? What's happening? What's going on? And this returning to the self, go deep, go in, as opposed to out. And that to me really brings in a whole lot of union and a whole lot of Miriam and Yeshua, the whole energy of yin yang, masculine, feminine, and what kind of a world are we creating? The loudness of everything to me is, I always say the goddess works through chaos, right? We make it, we yell when we birth or something, whatever you want to do. You can take a look at the Lord Shiva and the destructive creative forces, or Kali, she's out there with her sword lopping off our heads, the heads of the ego. And there's just a loud cry. It is rebirthing. It is a new world. And
that's Durga.
Yeah.
By the way, Durga is Mary Magdalene.
Yes.
That's really the goddess that is most Mary Magdalene.
Yeah. I love that. She's so fierce. She's got her tiger running around. Anyway, it's good stuff. When I interviewed Irvin Laszlo a while back on the show, we were talking about, the new world coming, and he's got a great little book that's got a vision of the whole thing. He's a wonderful man. And the thing I asked him, I said, well, how do we make this transition, right? Because we are literally watching something fall, an old structure, which I think is the old patriarchal structure, the Kali Yuga, whatever you want to call it. And he said the way it works is that you have all of this energy coming around, that's new things that are building around the edges. And you get to the point where the center collapses and then all of that comes in. And I think you guys are right in the middle of that with your book of, number one, giving us the truth, the real story of what it is that happened so that we can adjust some things within us or seed within us or awaken something in us. Like I believe reading your book it's kind of a transmission it's shifting. It shifts you. Yeah.
It does, yeah.
So, yeah. So, if you could, and I think you've already done this, but if you could distill the message of your book, what it is that you hope comes from this book to the world, what is that message? What is that intent?
Ooh, that's a good one. The thing that is most poignant is that as human beings, we truly are divine beings, and there is divinity in all things.
And all people.
All people, all actions, everything. Even though we can't see it, it's there. But we have to go much more, we have to go deeper into our spirituality to be able to see this.
And to feel the compassion and the empathy for one another, because in this divisive time of distraction after distraction after distraction, it's all too easy to either take a side or to make another side evil or whatever, all the information that's out there. That's not the feminine way. The feminine way is to go internally, right, to our heart space and to focus on the things that are divine feminine, which is collaboration, connection, love, service to others, service to oneself, right? Play. These are the divine feminine qualities. And I think, it's funny, we're leading a Mary Magdalene retreat to the south of France in September. And technically we have one spot left, though I'm not sure about that anymore. But anyway, one of the things that Magdalene's been teaching us about what's going to happen, she's telling us to surrender because she's going to be in charge while we're over there. Yeah, I know. And so I think we're going to be doing like ritual and ceremony. So that's probably the other message I would leave to people, is that the time of the goddess was all about these rituals and ceremonies, honoring the rhythms of Gaia. And Irvin Laszlo, who we know personally too, we love him, by the way.
Yeah.
We talk about that with him too. It's like, Gaia's alive, right? She's alive. She's part of us. And so that's the other message I would leave, which I started to get to when I talked about nature, but I went in circles and didn't really get there. But, she's alive. And so honor her. That's another part of the divine feminine. So all of these shifts in consciousness will change how we show up in the world, how we treat Gaia, how we treat each other, when we realize that we're mirror reflections of each other, and that there's no separation. Everything changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I was giggling because I've been given the same message going to Egypt, like get out of the way, Loretta, because I'm in charge, right? And yeah, we're going to be doing rituals and ceremonies and all kinds of stuff. So my heart to yours. And thank you so much for being on my show today. You have more books coming, and your website, real quick.
www.bluesoulearth.com, and then also magdalensjourney.com for the book. And then we have another site that's got, membership programs, and that's studywithspirit.com. And we are Blue Soul Earth on YouTube, where we interview, we do some channeling over there. And we also have some interviews with people making a dent in consciousness as well.
Thank you both so much. From my heart to yours, so much love. I can't wait to be more connected with you, which I will do. And I got it too. And everybody out there, have a wonderful week. And watch out for that new moon in Virgo. We got stuff going on. Betty Mathers, you are absolutely the best. Much love. Bye-bye.